All right, people, buckle up, because we are diving deep, and I mean deep, underneath one of the most legendary places on the planet. You think the pyramids of Giza are just giant, dusty triangles sitting out there looking all ancient? Think again, because right now the global hype machine around this whole plateau has cranked up to 11, and it's not because of the massive rocks you can see piercing the sky. No, no, no. We're talking about the absolute pitch-black, light-swallowing secrets hiding way down in the subterranean abyss beneath our feet. What hidden city is being swallowed whole, and what insane technology is watching our every move from above? Stick around, because you guys are about to see what's really going on beneath the sand. Whoa, hold on to your hard hats, folks, because things are about to get spooky. Right in the middle of what I can only describe as an academic panic attack, this super hush-hush research squad, we're talking folks from Pisa and Strathclyde, dropped a bombshell announcement that sounds like it came straight out of an Indiana Jones movie. They claimed they found a monster city buried down there. We're talking 6,500 feet deep. That's over 2 kilometers, people. To put that in perspective, that's deeper than most skyscrapers are tall. And they're saying this underground beast dwarfs the Great Pyramids in sheer scale. But here's the kicker. This isn't some dusty dude with a shovel yelling Eureka. Nope. This earth-shattering claim comes courtesy of some tireless, always-on radar tech. We basically hit the ultimate weird intersection, cutting-edge geophysics slamming headfirst into humanity's oldest, creepiest underground myths. Giza, the land sitting on top of a secret fate. Okay, so these gnarly claims are all based on some seriously high-tech radar data. This Italian-Scottish dream team deployed some seriously advanced gear to stitch together 3D images of what's beneath the surface. They basically announced they found stuff miles under the sand. But what did they claim they found? Get this, they insisted this buried system wasn't just a few random hollow spots. Nope, they were talking about a massive city or an entire hidden world. They threw out a number that made everyone do a spit take, over 6,500 feet wide. That's like 2 kilometers. If true, that's 10 times bigger than the pyramids themselves. They focused their radar scans on finding these super-symmetrical, interconnected structures, and they mentioned some absolute nightmare fuel. The vertical shafts of terror, cylindrical wells. They claimed to spot 8 massive vertical cylindrical-shaped structures plunging to terrifying depths of 2,100 feet. That's 650 meters. And here's where the chill factor went up. The researchers quietly suggested that some of these shafts were surrounded by giant spiral staircases. Seriously? Staircases? That screams functional purpose, not natural rock formation, right? That's wild. The cube-shaped monoliths. If you thought that was deep, at the 650-meter mark, their radar supposedly spotted 2 gigantic structures shaped exactly like cubes, each one clocking in at about 80 meters wide. These cubes were supposedly linked up by engineering pathways and connected to those 8 scary shafts, like the cornerstones of some ancient buried metropolis. Waterways of complexity. The radar images supposedly showed an intricate network of underground canals. This led the team to seriously speculate that this system was part of the master plan for moving all the massive stones needed to build the pyramids, maybe via an ancient river channel connected to the Nile. Talk about a massive logistics operation. Structures at the crushing depths. Some seriously unsettling reports hinted at even more unknown structures and limestone platforms way down at 4,000 feet. That's 1,200 meters, suggesting this subterranean system drops down vertically like a skyscraper in reverse. Linking legend to subterranean engineering, the Hall of Records, and Amenti. They didn't stop at just claiming massive structures. This team decided to throw gasoline on the fire by linking their supposed findings to the creepiest, most out-there conspiracy theories about ancient Egypt. They suggested the structures, especially under Khafre's pyramid, might actually connect to the legendary Hall of Records. Now you know the drill. These are unproven Hermetic and Gnostic legends claiming this place hides the ultimate knowledge, maybe even secrets from the lost continent of Atlantis. On top of that, they whipped out the term Halls of Amenti to describe these deep, unexplored complexes. For those who don't know the lore, Amenti is the ancient Egyptian word for the underworld, the realm of the dead. So by using this term, they suggested the plateau hides a religious or energy system way deeper than we ever imagined, maybe even an ancient power generator tapping into Earth's energy, according to the theories thrown around by the study's supporters.
Naturally, these claims sent shockwaves and serious eye rolls through the established Egyptian archaeological community. The former Minister of Antiquities, Dr. Mamdouh el-Damati, didn't mince words, calling this whole deal fables with zero solid scientific proof. And Dr. Hussein Abdelbasser, a respected archaeologist, absolutely tore the study apart, stressing that any real scientific discovery has to go through the brutal gauntlet of peer review in a legitimate journal, not just a panic-inducing press conference. The real fight here isn't just about whether stuff is buried down there, it's about the totally sketchy methodology. Can modern tech really punch through the known limits of physics and blast through solid rock like it's tissue paper? Or are they using proprietary secretive data analysis software as a smokescreen for some wildly over-the-top interpretations that are about to send history spinning? My job here is to dive deep into this critical cross-section, scrutinize the actual capabilities of GPR, especially in this SAR orbital context, and separate what's scientifically possible from what's just a dramatic summoning of dark fantasy in the Lost City trope. Did this radar scan give us an actual treasure map to the mythical underwater city of Atlantis, or are we just staring at some high-tech digital mirage that's going to totally mess with human history? Stick with me, because we are about to drill down deeper than a Mr. Beast challenge for gold and find out what's really going on. Whoa, hold the phone, fam. Did that last radar scan just show us a secret treasure map to the mythical underwater city of Atlantis, or are we just staring at some high-tech digital mirage that's going to totally mess with human history? Stick with me, because we are about to drill down deeper than a Mr. Beast challenge for gold and find out what's really going on. The mind-blowing, or maybe just mind-blowing up announcement, the Italian-Scottish study Deep Dive. Chaos mode in the archaeology world. We're talking about a joint study cooked up by some serious brains over at the University of Pisa in Italy and the University of Strathclyde in Scotland. And man, did they drop a bombshell that sent shockwaves through the scientific community. They claimed they were poking around in areas beneath the Giza Plateau that frankly most geophysicists wouldn't even touch with a 10-foot pole using traditional scanning gear. They basically announced they found stuff miles under the sand, deep ground radar, and some seriously scary engineering claims. So how did these folks pull off this archaeological magic trick? They said they were rocking what they called advanced pulse radar technology paired with something called synthetic aperture radar, or SAR. Now, these aren't your garage door openers. These are the tools geologists use when they're mapping out deep earth formations or like exploring the scary, crushing depths of the ocean floor. But what did they claim they found? Get this, they insisted this buried system wasn't just a few random hollow spots. Nope, they were talking about a massive city or an entire hidden world. They threw out a number that made everyone do a spit take. Over 6,500 feet wide. That's like 2 kilometers. If true, that's 10 times bigger than the pyramids themselves. They focused their radar scans on finding these super-symmetrical interconnected structures, and they mentioned some absolute nightmare fuel. 1. The vertical shafts of terror, cylindrical wells. They claimed to spot 8 massive vertical cylindrical-shaped structures plunging down to terrifying depths of 2,100 feet. That's 650 meters. And here's where the chill factor went up. The researchers quietly suggested that some of these shafts were surrounded by giant spiral staircases. Seriously? Staircases? That screams functional purpose, not natural rock formation, right? That's wild, too. The cube-shaped monoliths. If you thought that was deep, at the 650-meter mark, their radar supposedly spotted 2 gigantic structures shaped exactly like cubes, each one clocking in at about 80 meters wide. These cubes were supposedly linked up by engineering pathways and connected to those 8 scary shafts, like the cornerstones of some ancient buried metropolis. 3. Waterways of complexity. The radar images supposedly showed an intricate network of underground canals. This led the team to seriously speculate that this system was part of the master plan for moving all the massive stones needed to build the pyramids, maybe via an ancient river channel connected to the Nile. Talk about a massive logistics operation. 4. Structures at the crushing depths. Some seriously unsettling reports hinted at even more unknown structures and limestone platforms way down at 4,000 feet. That's 1,200 meters, suggesting this subterranean system drops down vertically like a skyscraper in reverse.
They didn't stop at just claiming massive structures. This team decided to throw gasoline on the fire by linking their supposed findings to the creepiest, most out-there conspiracy theories about ancient Egypt. They suggested that the structures, especially under Khafre's pyramid, might actually connect to the legendary Hall of Records. Now, you know the drill. These are unproven Hermetic and Gnostic legends, claiming this place hides the ultimate knowledge, maybe even secrets from the lost continent of Atlantis. On top of that, they whipped out the term Halls of Amenti to describe these deep, unexplored complexes. For those who don't know the lore, Amenti is the ancient Egyptian word for the underworld, the realm of the dead. Ground-penetrating radar and SAR, hitting the terrifying depth limits in desert geology. Time to switch gears from OMG, a secret city, to wait, is that even possible? Any claim about massive structures running thousands of feet beneath Giza must pass the strict test of physics. Can the radar tools they used actually punch through that much rock? The remote sensing tools used for archaeology, like ground-penetrating radar and SAR, work by blasting electromagnetic waves down and then listening for the echo bounce back from stuff under the dark earth. The attenuation wall, Giza's brutal geology. GPR runs into a fundamental physics problem called attenuation. The signal loses its juice incredibly fast the deeper it tries to go. The absolute depth limit is set by how electrically conductive the ground is. And guess what? The Giza Plateau isn't just dry sand. It's built on a bedrock of massive dense limestone and thick rock layers. All that density, all those cracks, and any trace of groundwater acts like an actual wall that sucks the radar energy dry. That's why even the advanced pulse radars these guys used hit a non-negotiable depth ceiling when dealing with solid rock. The depth dilemma, from science to dark sci-fi. The official Egyptian academic response goes way beyond just questioning the tech. They basically called the study sloppy and maybe even misleading. Dr. Hussein Abdel Basser, a respected archaeologist, said this study lacked the most basic standards of sound science and fell squarely into the category of exaggeration and perhaps even disinformation. His key points dismantling the depth claims. Engineering fantasy. Dr. Abdel Basser calls the claim of massive voids at 2,000 feet deep science fiction with no technical basis. Ancient civil engineering couldn't possibly support massive empty spaces that deep under the immense weight of the pyramids without everything collapsing into dust over millennia. Mythological hijacking. The study was heavily tied to unscientific nonsense, like naming things Halls of Amenti or the Hall of Records.
Dr. Abdel Basser notes these are direct callbacks to Hermetic and Gnostic myths that have zero supporting evidence in any verified pharaonic texts or reliable archaeological records. Researcher bias. The team's association with fringe theories, including one lead researcher's background in UFO research, instantly pulls the study out of objective science and into the realm of sensationalism. The methodological failure, the peer review shockwave. But perhaps the weakest and most devastating blow to this whole narrative is how they announced this scary discovery. Egyptian archaeologists, including Dr. Mamdouh el-Damati, former Minister of Antiquities, stressed that real, vetted archaeological finds take decades of drilling and study. El-Damati flat out denied the existence of a huge city under the pyramids, calling the claims myths that are based on no reliable scientific evidence. Dr. Abdel Basser laid down the golden rule of research. Any real discovery must first be published in a credible scientific journal after rigorous vetting by independent experts. That's the famous peer review. Announcing findings via a press release instead of a vetted paper turns their so-called scientific scoop into nothing more than a media stunt lacking any real proof. The bottom line science takeaway. While scientists don't deny there are some features under Giza, like small shafts or rooms within a reasonable depth range, the idea of a sprawling kilometer-deep city is a massive, technically unsupported inflation. Experts agree the sloppy methodology, paired with wildly exaggerated depth claims, pushes this study far out of serious archaeology and deep into the territory of terrifying fictionalized myth-making. The Giza Plateau and the mythology machine, from Atlantis to the sketchy halls of Amenti. All right, buckle up, history buffs and conspiracy junkies, because we are talking about Giza. This isn't just some dusty archaeological site, okay? Nah, Giza has always been this weird intersection where verifiable history slams headfirst into terrifying ancient myth-making. Every time some dude pops up claiming they found a secret chamber under the pyramids, bam, it's coming out of nowhere. It's built on centuries of Gnostic and Hermetic projections where ancient Egyptian structures become the perfect vessel for their super twisted secrets.
For ages now, the Giza pyramids have been linked, in the popular imagination at least, to the hunt for lost super-cities, chief among them being Plato's legendary Atlantis. The most common flavor of the conspiracy theory brew suggests these pyramids aren't just tombs for some pharaohs, they are leftover scraps from some hyper-advanced civilization that existed before Noah's flood, or maybe they were giant spiritual or tech devices we just don't get yet. This linkage gets reinforced every time a new discovery pops up, usually by dragging out these specific mythical concepts. 1. The Hall of Records. This is the classic, right? Think of it like the ultimate library card catalog of the universe. The rumor mill says there's a massive hidden library tucked away under the Sphinx or Khufu's pyramid, holding the complete uncut history of humanity. Usually this gets tied straight into Atlantis or, you guessed it, ancient aliens. 2. The Halls of Amenti. This one is huge, especially in the study we're looking at now. When they bring up Amenti, they are literally pulling straight from Hermetic and Gnostic folklore. Spoiler alert, this concept does not exist in genuine ancient Egyptian texts. In these myths, Amenti is the secret spiritual city or the headquarters for some hyper-advanced beings. What this does is take genuine archaeology and turn it into this creepy pseudo-religious fake-out narrative. As Dr. Hussein Abdel Basir pointed out, whipping out these hermetic myths is just fairy tale projections onto a great civilization that has unfortunately become more of a target for imagination than reality. Ouch! Talk about calling out the BS. The hidden factor, conspiracy theorists, and turning up the scare dial. These wild narratives gain serious traction when you connect them to well-known public figures who already dabble in conspiracy theories. Take the specific study that claimed they found a massive city under Giza. Who's front and center? Professor Corrado Malanga, one of the lead researchers. Here's the deal. Malanga's background is all about UFOs, and he's a super vocal defender of the alien hypothesis. Because of that background, the study's findings instantly get shuffled out of the realm of strict scientific methodology and shoved right into the conspiracy theory marketplace. The assumption becomes whatever those ground-penetrating radar readings show are actually remnants of alien tech, or proof that the Egyptian government is running a massive cover-up. This mix is pure grade A populism fuel. Step 1, use slick high-tech science like SAR, GPR to look legitimate. Vroom! Step 2, claim discoveries that are ridiculously massive, a megacity stretching 6,500 feet to guarantee CNN calls you back. Step 3, immediately link the findings to existing myths, Atlantis, Hall of Records, to satisfy what the general public wants to believe. Tech serving up scary fake narratives. The biggest hurdle here is how modern tech, things like ground-penetrating radar, are being hijacked to support utterly bogus historical narratives. Sure, radar images can show anomalies, weird shadows or bumps under the dirt, but interpreting those shadows, that's where the battle is fought. This team claims their tech zapped deep, like over 2,000 feet down. That's over 600 meters, revealing massive blocky structures. But other experts, like archaeological radar guru Professor Lawrence Conyers, looked at that and basically said, "Hold up, fam, current tech just can't punch that deep." He called their massive city claims a massive exaggeration. The takeaway is clear crystal. When you totally ditch strict scientific methodology, like zero peer review publication, you turn uncertain technical data into sensationalist news. Instead of handing over the raw data to the academic crowd to check their math, they drop it directly onto YouTube and major media outlets, making it super easy to blend technical error with mythological fan fiction, all to pump up the modern discovery to get clicks, all while ignoring the real, admittedly much darker archaeological truth.
What is up, internet legends? So, we just talked about how some folks are dropping their groundbreaking data bomb straight onto YouTube and the mainstream media, bypassing the actual scientists. It's like they're mixing up actual archaeology with some serious mythological fan fiction just to chase those sweet, sweet clickbait views, all while dodging the real, kind of dark archaeological truth. Well, let me tell you, the folks in Egypt, the ones actually in charge of these ancient secrets, were not having it. So, you've got this massive, controversial announcement floating around, right? They're claiming they used some fancy-pants tech, ground-penetrating radar, the SAR stuff, and boom, they found Atlantis under the Giza Plateau. Whoa, hold your pharaoh horses, partner. The official Egyptian response was swift, unified, and backed by centuries of knowing exactly how to handle these ancient mysteries. They didn't treat these claims like some exciting new find. They slapped them straight into the misinformation and sci-fi narrative bins. They were crystal clear. You gotta keep serious, legitimate science separate from the conspiracy theory crowd that's gonna mess up the actual site. The top archaeologists in Egypt, the real OGs, came out swinging, unanimously agreeing that the Giza Plateau, which is probably the most studied piece of dirt on the planet, cannot just casually hide a structure this huge and this deep without some rock-solid physical proof. The hard no, garbage talk, and dark speculation. The pushback came from all levels, former officials, current dig supervisors, the whole 9 yards. First up, Dr. Mamdouh el-Damati, the former minister of antiquities. This guy basically said these claims of some massive city under the pyramids are fairy tales that have zero reliable scientific backing. Visual, Dr. el-Damati looking stern, maybe a graphic overlay saying zero evidence. He pointed out that this area has been excavated and studied for decades, and nothing documented has ever hinted at secret megastructures. He labeled these announcements as nothing more than speculation peddled by some people just trying to grab scary attention. Then you got the heavyweight champ, the legendary Dr. Zahi Hawass. Hawass straight up called any claims about huge columns and structures under Khafre's pyramid lies, coming from people who clearly aren't the experts. He brought up a killer geological fact that nobody can argue with. The base of Khafre's pyramid is carved straight out of solid bedrock, standing about 8 meters high. Sound effect, crunch. According to the actual science, there is zero chance of having massive voids or columns directly underneath that foundation, period. But Egypt's rejection wasn't just about pointing at the sand and saying, nope, not there. They also went straight for the jugular of the methodology and the tech they used in this sketchy study. Dr. Hussein Abdel Basir, an archaeologist and former general director of the Giza pyramids, dove deep into why the technology they claimed to use is straight up bogus for the job. Get this. Number 1, the tech ceiling of ground-penetrating radar, GPR. Dr. Abdel Basir explained that geophysical tools like GPR or seismic analysis have very real penetration limits. At best, they might punch through maybe a few tens of meters. Visual, a radar wave hitting a depth meter that maxes out way below the claim. So the claim that they spotted massive structures 2,000 feet down, that's over 600 meters, or even 4,000 feet down, 1,200 meters, he called it what it is, science fiction that isn't rooted in any technical reality. It's like trying to find a single grain of sand at the bottom of the Mariana Trench using a cheap metal detector. Number 2, the missing peer review, the scientific gold standard. Abdel Basir stressed that the number 1 rule for any real archaeological or scientific discovery is that it has to be published in a legitimate scientific journal after rigorous vetting by independent experts. That's the famous peer review. If all you do is host a press conference or issue a media statement without submitting a properly vetted paper, you've automatically thrown your findings into the hype and misleading stuff bin. The goal shifts from finding the truth to getting the media scoop first.
3. Sketchy connections and mythological confusion. The official Egyptian response also shone a massive spotlight on how this study tied itself into conspiracy theories. Abdel Basir noted that talking about Hall of Records or Amun's chambers is just dredging up Hermes' Hermetic and Gnostic legends, which have zero connection to actual Egyptology or documented pharaonic texts. Plus, they pointed out that one of the main proponents is famous for researching UFOs. Whoa! This just proves the whole thing pivoted away from being a scientific search and turned into promoting wild, populist nonsense designed to make everyone freak out. The insane importance of archaeological protocol and official oversight. The Egyptian stance hammers home one critical point. Digging in Egypt is a strictly regulated business, overseen by the Supreme Council of Antiquities. This oversight is non-negotiable because it protects the secrets buried down there. Official permits are mandatory. Dr. Hawass confirmed that the Supreme Council of Antiquities absolutely did not issue any permits to this specific team to work inside the pyramids or conduct deep radar scans recently. Working without the proper clearance, that's a massive violation of international archaeological rules. Site safety first. The protocol guarantees that any excavation or even non-destructive testing, like GPR, stays within depth and scale limits so it doesn't threaten the stability of structures that are already 4,500 years old. You can't go around poking ancient foundations like a toddler with a stick. Separating fact from fiction. The official goal is to shield the public and the science community from waves of fiction being sold as science. They want people to know that real results, like finding small chambers or previously unknown shafts within a logical depth, always come from rigorous, documented scientific methods, not from scary media sensationalism. Bottom line, Egyptian scientists see these new claims as nothing more than old conspiracy theories wrapped up in shiny new tech, completely lacking any systematic or technical foundation that could actually rewrite ancient Egyptian history. Stay skeptical, guys. We'll keep drilling down and find out. Peeping from orbit, the real, unhyped applications of geosensing. Okay, so what are the heavy hitters? We're talking about non-invasive scanning tech, the kind that lets you see what's under the ground without bringing in a bulldozer. I'm talking about ground-penetrating radar, GPR, synthetic aperture radar from satellites, and the game-changer, airborne LiDAR. These aren't just tools for spotting one weird lump that might be a buried vase. They give us the entire geographical context of civilizations that vanished beneath the sand dunes centuries ago. Let me drop some real-world evidence on you. This isn't theory, this is fact. Case study alert: redrawing the Nile's old map. Scientists grabbed advanced SAR satellite imagery, right? And bam, they started picking up the shadows of ancient dried-up riverbeds. We call those paleo-channels. These weren't just creeks, these were the ancient highways, the logistical arteries of the Egyptian Old Kingdom. Knowing where that water used to flow explains the impossible. How on earth did they move those 80-ton limestone blocks to the Giza Plateau? The river system they uncovered provides the missing link. That's the sweet spot, folks. Discoveries within the physically plausible depth range. Then you've got LiDAR, which is basically a magical digital chainsaw for trees. Imagine thick jungle canopy, right? So dense you can't see your hand in front of your face. LiDAR fires out gazillions of lasers, cuts through that green curtain digitally, and boom, you suddenly see the precise city layout of a lost Maya metropolis underneath. We're mapping walls, foundations, road networks, even ancient irrigation systems that are just barely under the soil or right at the surface. This gives archaeologists pinpoint coordinates. No more guessing games for where to drop the trowel next.
And yeah, even under the famous Giza Plateau, geophysics has already confirmed legitimate technical structures, like the deep, multi-chambered shafts, such as the controversial Osiris shaft. These are tunnels and chambers, but here's the key. They are within a technologically sound and expected depth range. They help us understand the sacred topography that was there before the big pyramids got built. Totally cool, totally science-backed. Finding the sweet spot between awesome tech and sanity. The real future challenge for this field isn't just building faster scanners, it's applying them inside a ridiculously strict methodological box. The remote sensing data, those radar images, those LiDAR scans, that data should be the starting line for targeted digs, not the finish line where they declare a final ultimate truth. The actual smart investment in remote sensing is about using the tech to be laser-focused. It means prioritization, helping archaeologists decide, based on physical evidence that makes sense, this one spot is 500 times more likely to hold something than that other spot. We use the data to justify the hard work of digging. Ground truthing is crucial. You use the radar to guide the shovel. When the radar says, hey, there's a rectangular anomaly here, you dig and you confirm, yep, that's definitely a man-made wall, not just a weirdly shaped piece of limestone that looks spooky. Knowledge integration. You have to stop letting the radar speak for itself. You need to mash that data up with existing ancient texts, engineering principles, and geology reports. This stops people from jumping to legendary conclusions, like claiming a scanned void is the mythical halls of Amenti or some ancient alien power grid. The legitimate, world-changing future for satellites and radar and archaeology is one built on systematic caution. The technology is an absolute beast of an assistant, designed to reveal the real secrets of civilization, not to be a soapbox for fueling conspiracy theories or giving cable documentary makers sensational sound bites. Stay skeptical, guys. We'll keep digging into this. Music starts swelling again. Visual.
Quick transition graphic, maybe an animated Egyptian pyramid suddenly showing a 404 error screen, followed by a dynamic title card, Giza Ghost Hunt, Atlantis Under the Sands? All right, Science Squad, we're hitting the final stretch. We've seen the wild, shadowy speculation, the stuff that makes for killer late-night conspiracy streams about a lost city underneath Giza. It's super juicy for the imagination, right? But here's the real deal, the science straight-up lowdown. While this whole hidden city narrative gets our clicks buzzing, the actual archaeological wizards and serious researchers gotta keep it locked down to rigorous, peer-reviewed, lab coat-wearing scientific methodology.
Listen, the true secrets of the ancient Egyptians are still down there, waiting for us. But that discovery isn't going to happen because some guy tweeted a shaky satellite image that breaks the laws of physics. It's going to happen through meticulously documented digging and sober analysis. The core of the controversy rests on depth. The study claims findings kilometers deep, 2,000 or even 4,000 feet down. But experts know that standard ground-penetrating radar, GPR, loses its signal strength dramatically against Giza's dense bedrock. Professor Lawrence Conyers confirmed that claims pushing the depth limit beyond a few dozen meters are a gross exaggeration, bordering on science fiction. The scientific community's rejection is twofold: technical impossibility and methodological failure. Dr. Hussein Abdel-Basir confirmed that the claims of massive engineering feats at those depths defy known structural principles, and that skipping the essential peer review by releasing bombshells via press conference instead of a vetted journal brands the entire announcement as a media stunt. Furthermore, the study's immediate linkage to esoteric myths like the Hall of Records and the involvement of a researcher known for UFO theories only cements its place outside mainstream science. The Egyptian archaeological authorities, including former minister Dr. Mamdouh el-Damati and Dr. Zahi Hawass, firmly dismissed these reports as fabrications based on non-existent evidence, specifically noting that the base of Khafre's pyramid rests on solid, unmovable bedrock, making kilometers-deep artificial voids beneath it structurally impossible. The legitimate world-changing future for remote sensing in archaeology lies in using tools like SAR and LiDAR not to invent mythic cities, but for knowledge integration, using the data to precisely target excavations for real, historically grounded finds. We seek PhD-level accuracy, not blockbuster movie deals. So boom, we just confirmed that while the wild theories are fun background noise, the real treasure hunt requires patience, rigor, and maybe a really good magnifying glass. If your mind was blown by how science keeps us honest, smash that like button right now. Seriously, click it like your life depends on finding the next video. And absolutely subscribe so you don't miss the next crazy experiment, where we try to calculate the exact tensile strength of a mummy's wrapping under extreme pressure. Let me know in the comments down below, what's the wildest historical theory you secretly hope is true? I want to read them all. Next week, we are diving headfirst into something even more ridiculously ambitious. We're talking about trying to replicate the exact temperature inside a pyramid using only office supplies. All right, guys, catch you in the next one. Peace. If you found this video valuable, hit like to help us reach more people and subscribe to be the first to know the truth. If you want to support our journey, consider joining channel membership or supporting us via PayPal. All links are in the description below. Your support keeps us going.